So I have reviewed teams here. Josh on the right side and Renny on the left. Renny in the blue will be sporting the very first Staraptor we're gonna see on stream today, but it is not a normal Staraptor. It is one of the funniest Staraptors actually. It is a Staraptor built to knock out other Staraptor. This is a Choice Scarf Final Gambit Staraptor. And on future side, we will be seeing the very first Raichu. Well, it's going to be a Mega Raichu Y, but it is going to be accompanied by this Mega Mawile, the first we're going to be seeing in the midweek smoke. Both of these Pokemon were introduced in Regulation M-B, and I am very, very excited to see who is going to show up into this match. On the other hand, Renny also has the Mega Mawile here. This Scrafty also does not have a Mega Stone. The only Mega here on Renny's side will be that Mawile. And very interesting, there's a Vileplume on his team. It will still have Chlorophyll, and there is a Torkoal on his team as well, so he will be able to activate the Chlorophyll Wide Lens Sleep Powder after you. But we won't be seeing the Vileplume just yet. We'll be seeing Intimidates coming from both sides of the field. Josh leading with Incineroar and Melodic. At the same time, Renny leading with his own Intimidator. That's Scrafty and Farigiraf. Farigiraf here. Sorry, Farigiraf. Fake out pressure coming from both. Scrafty looks to be slightly faster. If Josh's Incineroar also went for a fake out, then we'll see this interaction. But no. It did not go for a fake out. It went for a parting shot into that Scrafty, and it will be going back into its trainer's bench. And in its place, we will be seeing this Sinistra. So Sinistra here healing up the damage from the fake out earlier. But Farigiraf will successfully bring out the Trick Room. Lately, nearly every team that Renny has been using has been Trick Room, and I believe he's one of the best people who we've showcased here to use that very strong archetype. And he will be calling back his Farigiraf, and in its place will be the Torkoal. And the sun will shine for the entire field. Rage Powder coming from Josh's Sinistra here, not wanting to get any of that extra smoke, will be eating a fake out from that Scrafty. Intimidated and a little weakened from that parting shot, but 53% is still a pretty solid amount of damage. At the same time, Josh will be using Coil on his Melodic. This Melodic will be the dreaded Muddy Water Coil Hypnosis Protect set with leftovers. So this Melodic has been boosted with competitive from that Scrafty's Intimidate. Josh will be withdrawing his Sinistra though, and in its place will once again be the Incineroar pivoting back in, weakening Scrafty once more. Torkoal though will be erupting in the sun, but that eruption, for all its power, barely even manages to scratch both of the Pokemon on Josh's side of the field. But -3, that was actually needed. That was very much needed. Close combat went into the Incineroar and managed to survive. This really goes to show how much longevity this Incineroar does have. It is such a durable Pokemon. At the same time, Melodic after the coil will no longer be missing the Muddy Waters. Does a very good amount of damage into the Torkoal and even manages to drop the accuracy on the Scrafty. Scrafty is not in a fantastic position right now. It has lost so much. There's so many debuffs on this Scrafty. -3 attack, -1 defense, special attack, and special defense, as well as accuracy. And seeing that, yeah, I don't think it wanted to stay any longer. Renny calls it back and sends Farigiraf to take its place. Tagging in, but Incineroar also tags out. At the same time, Serral Edge will be tagging in for that Incineroar. Melodic protecting. If this Torkoal goes for another Eruption or Heat Wave, this Serral Edge will be eating that up. And yes, Flash Fire activates from the Serral Edge. Everyone who doesn't know, Flash Fire is an ability that powers up your next fire move after you get hit by a fire-based attack. So if you're hit by a fire type, Serral Edge wants to take those. Bitter Blade will now be such a nuisance, actually. Weather Ball hitting the Melodic in the sun does an okay amount of damage, but the real question is, okay, Farigiraf will be using Thunderbolt into the Melodic, but Melodic is very, very sturdy here. Very powerful Pokemon. Going for a Muddy Water, even in the sun, still managing to take out so much damage into the Torkoal, but Sterile Edge, okay, he won't even be going for that Bitter Blade just yet. Boosting up completely with the bulk up, seeing as there's literally no need to use Bitter Blade yet. He hasn't been damaged, so there's no reason to use up the Flash Fire boost just yet. Now Trick Room, I believe, has ended. Yeah, so Trick Room has ended. Renny will be calling his Torkoal back out, and will be sending in that Scrafty. And after a single bulk up with the Flash Fire boost, yeah, that Scrafty, even after it came in, oh, it doesn't have Moxie, rather, my apologies, it does not have it has Moxie, not Intimidate, but the sacrifice that Scrafty managed to do allows his partner Farigiraf to finally set the Trick Room back up, but Renny is down one Pokemon, but I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. This Sterile Edge, though, does heavily threaten the Mawile. This Mawile, however, does have the Intimidate, and it will be intimidating this Melodic, finally getting that boost. So Melodic, now at +2 because of the Intimidate. Its ability competitive, it's essentially like Defiant, but instead of a attack boost, it gains a special attack boost. And since it doesn't really need its attack stat, it actually welcomes getting intimidated here. At the same time, though, Renny is still... he's on the back foot with the Mawile. Of course, the Mawile can go for that Sucker Punch. I believe it does have Sucker Punch. Yes, it does. Mawile here can Mega Evolve and go for the Sucker Punch into the Sterile Edge, but Sterile Edge can just very easily keep going for bulk ups to wear down this Mawile a little later on. Shadow Sneak cannot actually happen on Renny's side though, but no, we won't be seeing the... we will not be seeing the Sucker Punch go in. It will be Rock Slide. And Farigiraf will be using Psychic into the Sterile Edge, not enough to take it out. And Bitter Blade will once again be going into that Mega Mawile, healing this Sterile Edge for, I would wager almost all of its HP. No, not even close. About 40% of its HP, and down goes the Mega Mawile. So, if we're looking at the field here, it's only going to be this Torkoal back out for Renny, and well, Josh still has a pretty good amount of Pokemon, but don't count him out just yet. While this Sterile Edge will be... my apologies, this Sterile Edge, while not being able to use Shadow Sneak, will still have a very, very big hit into whatever it chooses to with Bitter Blade. I personally don't see how Renny can get through this, but never say never, and I know that Renny is one of the strongest players in the entire league, so again, I am genuinely curious to see just how he's gonna get out of this one. Weather Ball will be going into the Sinistcha, and Farigiraf will be using Psychic into the Sterile Edge, but both of those Pokemon were protecting themselves, not wanting to take any damage. Still 2 turns of Trick Room and 4 turns of Sun. So this Torkoal and this Farigiraf will still be the fastest things on the field, but Josh, seeing that, okay, I don't think I want my Sinistcha to take fire damage this turn and go down, will be pulling it out and tagging in the Incineroar. Incineroar gonna have to take that Weather Ball and takes it on the chin very nicely there. Psychic will be hitting the Sterile Edge, doing a fairly good amount of damage, but Bitter Blade's going to allow it to heal almost all of that back off. And yeah, it does manage to heal back completely. Farigiraf is a Pokemon with such a high HP stat that Bitter Blade just manages to heal it completely. Seeing there was no other way, Renny just throws in the towel, sees, okay, perhaps not this game, but maybe the next one. Josh takes game 1, we will be going into game 2. Alright, so now we are in game 2 of this very, very interesting match. Again, it's going to be Renny versus Josh. Josh managed to inch out the last game with that Cereal Edge pick. Not the most common Pokemon to bring to these games, but there is a use case for it, especially with all the Charizards and now with all the Pyroars just running around. And it is just doing so much. Okay, so game 2 will now be starting. Okay, Josh is leading once again with Melodic and Incineroar. Again, apologies for earlier, this Scrafty on Renny's side of the field does not have Intimidate. It has Moxie. For every Pokemon that it manages to knock out, it will be boosting its attack stat. And yes, it is equipped with a Life Orb, so it is going to do a very good amount of damage. Same leads for both. Farigiraf is once again here. Coil will be coming for the Melodic, boosting its attack, defense, and accuracy. Incineroar, though, will be going for a Parting Shot. We now see the speed interactions, and Incineroar is actually faster than the Scrafty here. And yeah, tagging Incineroar, doing what Incineroar does, uses Parting Shot, tags out, and in its place is going to be that Cereal Edge once more. If Close Combat was going into that slot, it's gonna whiff, but no, there's not gonna be a Close Combat into the Incineroar slot. Instead, it's going to be a knockoff into the Melodic, dropping those leftovers. Melodic no longer has access to passive healing. Of course, it does have the ability to just put everything to sleep here and to go for the Muddy Waters. After a single coil, it's gonna be more durable physically, but it doesn't really increase the damage since attack isn't really needed on its moveset or on its Muddy Water. But yeah, Cereal Edge will be tagging out and bringing Incineroar back in. Scrafty, on Renny's side, uses Knockoff into the Incineroar slot, throwing that Citrus Berry away. Incineroar will no longer be able to have heals at 50%, and Farigiraf will be eating a Thunderbolt from the Farigiraf. No same type attack bonus there, but takes it very nicely and lulls the Farigiraf to sleep. A single coil boost was enough to get that Hypnosis. Now, Hypnosis normally will miss at 60%, but after a single coil, that's the main point of coil on this set. Not only will you become bulkier, but you want the accuracy boost, especially for the Hypnosis. Renny, seeing that his Farigiraf has fallen asleep, will be tagging it out, and in its place will be its partner, Torkoal. But this Scrafty, already at -2 attack after 2 Intimidates, while it does manage to successfully get the Drain Punch into the Incineroar, it will be losing some of its HP once more because of the Life Orb. And Jaws just very tactically Parting Shot, Intimidate into this Scrafty. No, scratch that, not -2, it was -3, and now I believe it is at -4. Melodic, on the other hand, no leftovers, but its partner Sinistcha is here, and it says, I think I could heal you for just a little, but not too much. Successfully heals its partner Melodic, and Melodic, in turn, manages to successfully get that Muddy Water up. A single coil was enough to make sure that none of those will miss. Renny will be calling back his Scrafty after all those Intimidates, and in its place will once again be the Farigiraf. Sinistcha on Josh's side protecting itself completely. Torkoal will be going for that Weather Ball into the Melodic. We know that it does a very good amount of damage despite the resistance, but this Melodic, okay, it just goes for the hypnosis into the Torkoal. Torkoal's eyes were already closed there anyway, so I guess Renny is stuck with 2 Pokemon on the field taking quite a snooze. It is also the last turn of Trick Room. If any of these 2 were to suddenly wake up, it'd be fantastic. But Renny will not be risking it. He's going to send his Scrafty back out, tagging in for that Torkoal. At the same time, Josh sees the opportunity and goes, you know, if you're gonna go for a fire move, I'm just gonna eat it. Calls in Sinistra and sends the Serral Edge back out. At the same time, Melodic is just free to really do what it wants. Goes for another one of these Muddy Waters. Now, the most interesting thing here is, if you look at it, Josh has revealed all of the Pokemon on his roster. The Sinistra, Serral Edge, Melodic, and Incineroar. There is no Mega. And just as there is no Mega, he calls back his Serral Edge and sends Incineroar back in. And this Melodic is just having a field day, putting literally everything to sleep. 3 out of 4 of Renny's Pokemon are taking a snooze here. It's just Z's on 3s. Something's gotta give eventually. This is also the very last turn of Sun. Muddy Water on the next turn will be doing a very, very different amount of damage. And yeah, parting shot coming from the Incineroar while this Melodic goes for another coil. Melodic just slowly setting up. Incineroar though going in, going out, making sure the opposing team can't do anything. Sinistra will be coming back in, healing this Melodic up. This Melodic looks like it's the Mega of this game. But knock off. Scrafty finally waking up, knocks off the Sinistra, gets rid of that Kasib Berry. But again, there is not much chance here for this Scrafty to just use Drain Punch. But both of the Pokemon on Renny's side of the field managed to wake up at the same time. Trick Room has once again come up, but the sun has faded. This Melodic, though, is at +2 defense. So the only thing that can really hurt it now is this Torkoal. But Torkoal is asleep and a fire type. And just like that, Torkoal will be coming back out in Scrafty's place. Both trainers very tactically switching their Pokemon in and out. Sinistra being pulled back in for the Incineroar. Once more, the Intimidate goes up, but neither of the Pokemon on Renny's side of the field particularly mind the Intimidate. Thunderbolt will be electrocuting the Melodic, and it takes it very well. Paralysis, though, will be happening to the Melodic, but that's not gonna stop it. It goes for a Muddy Water, and this Torkoal is still asleep. Both trainers just pivoting in and out. Renny has only been pivoting in and out between his 4 Pokemon, being very wary of the final Pokemon that is the Serral Edge on Josh's side of the field. But at the same time, I believe this Incineroar will also be a huge problem should it choose to Flare Blitz into the Mawile if he has chosen to bring it. Scrafty will be tagging in for the Farigiraf here. Already awake, but Torkoal asleep still. Muddy Water coming from the Melodic almost knocks out the Torkoal, just barely hanging on but still asleep. Flare Blitz coming from the Incineroar will be hitting into the Scrafty and knocking it out successfully. There will be no more pivots in and out for this Scrafty. Incineroar takes a little bit of damage, but they call him the GOAT for a reason. And yeah, Mawile will finally be coming out. Intimidate coming from that Mawile, but giving this Melodic a special attack boost with competitive. This is an uphill battle for Renny, but it's not impossible. There are still 2 turns of Trick Room, but this Incineroar can threaten this Mawile with another Flare Blitz. At the same time, this Torkoal is gonna have to put in work in order to knock out this Melodic. Mawile, though, can go for a play rough, but that Melodic is boosted. Its defenses are boosted, so it will be able to take those hits. And unfortunately, Renny's Torkoal still stays asleep. And in the Trick Room, it may have been difficult. This Melodic isn't the fastest thing ever. Successfully puts Mawile to sleep, and Incineroar will be smacking it down with a Flare Blitz, bringing it down to 15% HP. Not quite the knockout, but very close. Both of Renny's Pokemon are gonna have to wake up here for something to happen. It's also the very last turn of Trick Room. Wow, I've been just going. This game has been going back and forth, back and forth. Josh very, very masterfully pivoting in and out. And Sinistra taking Incineroar's place once more, healing this Melodic even more. This very bulky Melodic. Torkoal does finally wake up and goes for a Heat Wave. This will knock out the Sinistra. This Sinistra will no longer be able to come in and constantly heal this Melodic. Critical hit, I don't think that would have mattered too much. It would have mattered a lot more if it went into the Melodic here, but Muddy Water will be securing a double KO, forcing Renny to send out his Farigiraf as the last bastion of his team. Trick Room has ended, and with that, Renny concedes, throws in the towel, and we will be seeing that Josh will be taking Game 2 and the entire set. My manager gave me a thing. Stream still ongoing. Hop on and spectate. Yes, I would appreciate you posting that. That was a fantastic game. Pop off in the comments. Josh going crazy. Jeez. Okay. I might take a water break. Quick bathroom break, probably. But yeah, those were some spicy matches. We'll be right back actually. I just want to take a quick break. Then we'll see who's still playing in about 3 minutes. And yeah. Okay, so we are back once more. I really love the way that Josh managed to really showcase how good balance can be. One open match issue. Okay, so interestingly, a lot of people did register for the midweek smoke, but yeah, not everyone always shows up. And in the middle of the tournament, some people lose and they decide, I don't want to play any more of my matches, then just bail. Of course, it's a free win to whoever manages to score that fight, but yeah.